Karanji, 2 years down the line, any shake-up is there with the perspective of breaking the status quo. You know, new ideas, new people, new style of working, new things do invigorate the functioning of the government. So to see the changes in the context of paying prices or demotions would not be correct if you just look at change of portfolios. I can understand that somebody who's been a cabinet minister, once he's demoted to a, say, a man with independent charges, yes, then it would be. But there are just three levels: minister state with independent charges, and cabinet ministers. So if they remain within these three parameters continuously, I think these interpretations may not be very accurate. Just one rebuttal to what the allegations Mr. Singhvi has levelled against Prakash. Prakash Javadekar did cut through the maze of stoppages which were created by the erstwhile ministers. So no less a person than Rahul Gandhi himself had to refer to the Jayanti tax. So if somebody cuts through the corruption which was perpetrated in that ministry for getting clearances, I think he should be lauded and not condemned.
Okay, now,
and let me also tell you that
now,
what
Mr.
he
Mittal,
managed to do was
Mr. Mittal, let's not get stuck on that. Come to the issue I raised.
Required to come were not.
Come to the issue I raised.
Okay. Now, as far as as far as the other things are concerned, first, law is a critical ministry, and in the past you have seen that there were such major judgments which required a different kind of application. NJAC is one of them, where in spite of a unanimity in polity, you've had the Supreme Court striking it down. So a lot of things which are happening may not, as the polity believes, be as per the constitutional provisions, but it is judicial activism. So in light of all this, there was a very critical requirement of somebody very senior handling that ministry, and Ravi Shankar Prasad, as you know, has earlier been a law minister.
What about Mr. Naidu losing parliamentary affairs?
So critical requirement was law, and so he has been given law. And again, see, if you look at it, there's been a lot of media bashing against this government, which we feel as a party or as a government that which is not a fair media bashing the government has been receiving or the party has been receiving. And it again required a very committed application. Arun Jaitley ji has been doing not only management of the finance ministry, but also a lot of political management.
Can I
His
interrupt
hands
that?
have been so full.
Mr. Mittal,
and in order to just concentrate on this,
your
Venkaiah
explanation,
please.
Mr. Mittal, for why Mr. Venkaiah Naidu has been given INB suggests that Mr. Jaitley was unable to handle the media bashing the government was facing, that he wasn't up to the task and someone better was needed. In other words, Jaitley wasn't good enough at INB, a better man was needed to handle the media bashing.
No. Not at all, Karanji. On the contrary, we all know how effective he is vis-a-vis the media. I mean, he's been the most articulate of all people we have in BJP, plus his relationships and all, and he's been able to put forth the government's point of view very effectively.
Okay.
But again, you know, at the end of the day, it is 24 hours. So you have to prioritize, and the priority today, given the economy, I think that's the greater priority, and there was a requirement that he should wholeheartedly concentrate on the finance ministry, because so much is happening, such fast changes are taking place.
Except for the fact that the government believes, I won't go on further with this, but I just want to point out that the government believes the economy is working perfectly and effectively, and he doesn't need to devote all his time to it, but never mind, I'll accept that argument. So that was using the word demotion. I'll come to you in a moment, Mr. Mittal. I'll come to you in a moment, Mr. Mittal. Don't worry, I'll come to you. There are only 3 people on this show.
Explanation on this.
I'll come to you, sir. Don't worry. I'll come to you. Just let me bring other people in. The other demotion, and I'm deliberately using the word demotion, although I know that Sudhanshu Mittal will once again technically disagree with me, is the treatment of Sadanand Gowda. And this has happened in his case for the second time. This time round, he's been moved from law to statistics and program implementation. Earlier in November 2014, he was moved from railways to law. I mean, clearly he's a man, no matter where you put him, he doesn't live up to the Prime Minister's expectations. Shouldn't he have been removed altogether?
What may be embarrassing for you or for the other two gentlemen may not be embarrassing for the government. Mr. VK Singh has to forego his his portfolio, not because somebody else had to replace him, because it has been elevated to the level of a cabinet minister. So the analogy which you want to draw out of my statement is a fallacious analogy. You see, the portfolio he was holding has been elevated to that of a cabinet, to be held by a cabinet minister. So please, let's not look at that from that perspective. Secondly, about Mr. Gowda. Mr. Gowda has been the Chief Minister of Karnataka. He's a very experienced man. As I said, there is a new focus on the ministry, which is program implementation and statistics, because the way census has been happening in this country, the way programs, the way there's a new impetus on how we got to monitor all the projects and all the programs. So what you are doing is you are undermining the jobs which have been interested in terms of the relevance which this government is looking at in these new formats. So I mean, the debate is on a very predictable lines of political castigation because of the personal biases. And as far as prostitute is concerned, do we all realize that today on the social media it's become the norm rather than the exception, for the simple reason that that's what this society today accepts as an address.
Can I ask you a question there?
I mean,
Mr. Mittal,
being on the other side of
Mr.
receiving
Mittal,
end, you all may be very upset about it.
Can I ask you a simple question? Would you call Siddharth Varadarajan and me, both of us are journalist prostitutes?
Sir, are we talking about the rule or are we talking about the exceptions?
I'm talking about propriety.
Talking about the rules and not the exceptions.
I'm talking about propriety of language from the mouth of a minister.
I am talking about exceptions. Sir.
No, but are you saying that journalists as a rule are prostitutes?
So let's not use exceptions to justify.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mittal.
You know, the unfortunate part of the story today,
this is very shocking. This is very shocking.
In the social media is that there is lack of credibility in the entire media system.
All right. I note that you think there are exceptions. You don't call prostitutes. That clearly suggests you look upon most journalists as prostitutes. And I have to point out, Mr. Mittal, that journalists will not be happy. I had thought that you would be an exception and you would not call any journalist a prostitute. You sure you don't want to rethink that?
I haven't called any, sir. I haven't called any. I have said the social media believes this.
Okay.
I have never. That's not my physiology. I don't use it. But I'm giving it the context of the social media.
I note the important sentence. It's not my phraseology. I don't use it. I thank you for that. Unfortunately, it was General VK Singh's phraseology, and he did use it, and he used it repeatedly. But let's leave him aside. So
Karanji, first thing you have to understand, this was always an additional charge. It was neither the main charge nor the main this thing. Secondly, you are all you're forgetting the kind of economic activities which are going on in this country. A country which saw an economy in complete disarray when this government took over. The economic initiatives are now bearing fruits. There is a lot to be done, and there is a focus on the economy. In fact, the Prime Minister, if you remember, said it is to give effect to my budget that I am now making these changes in the cabinet. So please understand the kind of focus there is on the finance ministry, and it is for this purpose that there is a complete, undiluted attention to that ministry.
Can I interrupt? Are you suggesting that the Prime Minister felt that are you suggesting the Prime Minister felt that Mr. Jaitley wasn't giving enough attention to finance, that he was getting distracted, and therefore they've stripped him of all other charges? Basically, the Prime Minister is saying, I want you to concentrate full-time on finance and don't give yourself excuses not to do so. Your smile is engaging. Your smile is beguiling.
Is the requirement of the finance minister... Can I finish? Can I finish? The requirement of finance ministry has now grown. The changing economic environment, be it the crisis, international meltdown, and the shining example of Indian economy doing so well.
Okay.
So this requires a different impetus. And look, I just heard Mr. Singhvi talking about 2 of his deputies. I don't think he understands their background. Mr. Arjun Meghwal has been an IAS officer who's handled not only finance but also field administration as district collector, where he handles financial situations of the state, of the districts. Mr. Santosh Gangwar is a veteran of 7 times Lok Sabha and a minister and hugely, enormously experienced. Again, as I said, he was holding an independent charge which has now gone to a cabinet minister. So he's been brought in on a very significant portfolio. And as I said, the economic impetus of this government is being undermined. And whenever reshuffle takes place, please understand it's a bouquet which is presented. It is a combination of activities.
All I'll
taking
say,
every activity in isolation and then doing the kind of chira phadi.
I don't think let me stop you there. All I'll say before I go to the last question to Mr. Singhvi before I take a break is that your words said one thing, but that engaging, beguiling smile on your face, and your eyes are smiling as well, seem to suggest the exact opposite. But I won't editorialize. I'll simply point it out and let the audience come to whatever conclusion they want. But
just one comment. There is a saying that what I say today is what I believe today, with the proviso that in light of new facts, I may contradict the whole tomorrow. This is a philosophy of the bravest of the brave. I don't think
translate that into Mr. Akbar's position, and that becomes the following. What I say today is what I will contradict tomorrow. What I say tomorrow possibly could be contradicted day after, because Mr. Akbar is famous for the contradictions, not for the consistency. But let's take a break.
That's a biased interpretation of a truth. That's a biased interpretation of a truth.
A biased interpretation, maybe. But let's take a break at that point. And when I come back, I want to come to the critical subject. What does this cabinet reshuffle tell us about the Prime Minister and his authority? And what does it tell us about Mr. Amit Shah and his authority? We'll be back in a moment's time for the second part of tonight's debate and discussion.
Karanji, I don't think it can be the case of anybody that Prime Minister Modi is not strong, or that he is besieged with challenges from within and outside, that he cannot take his own decisions and he has to run here and there. You see, the era of Manmohan Singh running to dust the Janpath is not an era of this government. So let's not compare that two, and let's not be so far away from truth and reality. As to why he did not and what Mr. Varatharajan thinks should have happened, that is the critical difference of him being the Prime Minister and Mr. Varatharajan not being the Prime Minister. He has to take a holistic view. He has to look at a very wide canvas before he decides things, and not be judgmental as Mr. Varatharajan. That's the reason, Mr. Varatharajan, this nation hasn't chosen you as the Prime Minister of this country.
All right.
As far as the entire exercise and the entire impact of this exercise is concerned, let me tell you and let me assure you, midway, after understanding a lot of things, after seeing a lot of things, a lot of good has happened.
All right.
And in the next few months, you will see how this government gets invigorated into delivering.
Let's stop making predictions about the next few months. We'll let the next few months tell us what they have to tell us. Let me bring you...
A virtue is now being made into a curse. I'm amazed. If the party has a say in how the government should be, it is more democratic, it is more representative of the aspirations of the institution which has been voted by people to power.
Okay.
You should be welcoming it. On one hand, you say he is dictator. On the other hand, you are now accusing him of having taken the party into confidence. I think it is a virtue. It's brilliant that the party has a say in how the government should be run.
All right.
Instead of welcoming this kind of a broad-based consultation process, you are now demonizing it. I think there is such a crazy bias that even the goodness of politics has now to be criticized and condemned.
All right, we leave you the last word. A bias where democratic functioning is being perceived as weakness. The Prime Minister, in fact, is being democratic in buying to the party. This is not weakness. I leave you with the last word, although obviously the audience will judge for themselves. My thanks to all three of my guests for joining me. And if you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.